Hey Fish Tube, how's it going? Today I'm going to make medicated discus food. Let's get started. So these are the main ingredients of the medicated discus food. If you see signs of sickness and they're still eating, this is a great process to use. Now if they're not eating, then you have to medicate the water, and I could do another video on that. But if they're still eating, then this is the way to go. Now, if they are not eating, then you medicate the water for 7 to 10 days, give them a 7-day break, and then check to see if they're eating on the next round, which would be another 7 to 10 days, depending on what it looks like inside the tank. So the first 7 to 10 days is I go by the white feces. If I'm seeing it still after 7 days, then I'm gonna go a couple more days. If it seems to be gone and they're looking like they're gonna eat, then I go to the medicated food. Or their time off, they get no medication 7 days, and then I go back the second round. Because you gotta realize that the first round you're getting rid of the parasite, but those parasites have laid eggs inside your discus. So you need to go that second round. You're just gonna be spinning your wheels if you just treat and then stop. You need to do the second round, because when those eggs are hatching after that 7 days, you have to eradicate those eggs that have hatched, and then there'll be no more eggs in them and no more issues. Now, quarantine, all new fish. Once you've done this, if you quarantine your fish, you shouldn't have an issue. Now, you can still transfer from a quarantine tank to a clean tank by on your hands, dipping in one and going to the other, or a siphon hose, a net, anything can carry it over. So it's best to try to keep them separate. Now, it's not perfect. Perfect biosecurity would be a separate building, but that's just not realistic. So a separate tank as far away as possible from your healthy tank, and then just be as careful as you can. So what I do personally, when I go and work on my quarantine tanks, I do them very last, or if I'm going to do them, if they need attention right away, then I'll do them and leave the room and then come back. It's just something that I do. Now, it's not perfect. You will not be perfect. Things will happen. It's happened to me where somehow they got transferred. Don't ask me how, but it happens. So you're just doing the best you can. So the first food that I like to make the medicated food with is Sally's, and it's the mysis frozen, and then the frozen brine shrimp. Now, the reason I like to use this over anything else is they tend to strike this food a little bit, even if they're not 100% feeding. They tend to go for this because it has that ocean or sea smell to it. But the frozen food is amazing, and it also acts as a fiber, so it kind of cleans out their system. Now, discus are compressed, so they have a long intestinal tract. So it's important that you get that fiber in there. So you know about my containers. If you haven't seen the foods I feed, how I do my frozen foods, I will put it at the end card here so you can see that video if you're interested. But first off, you just grab some mysis. Now I just grab, it depends how much I want to make, but between your fingers you can see a little bit's left over there. And then what I do is I mix them in these cups. Just seems to be easier. Now, I want this to thaw out a little bit before I start manipulating it. So I'm gonna put this in, and then I'm gonna put a little bit more in. So total will be, that's the mysis. So there you go. And the shrimp. So about the same. So mysis and shrimp. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but with this amount, I have a certain amount of medicine I put in. So, okay. So I put that in there, and then I let this thaw for about 5 minutes because it's easier to manipulate. Now, you just don't want it to get warm, but you need it to thaw a little bit. Okay. So let's talk about this. This is my medicine bag. And this has all my medicines in it. I carry it in this because I do help people with their fish sometimes, and I go to their home, and it's just easier for me just to grab this bag and move. So it's just something I put together over the years, about, I would say 30 years. And so everything in here is stuff that I use And I've tried it all, and this is the bag I've come up with. Now I can make a separate video of this. I'm not gonna go, because this video is already gonna be long. So there's stuff in here. So what I'm gonna use today is the Chem Metroplex. So I find this works better in the food. And then the Chem Focus. Now, there's a big debate on the Focus. I like it. I look at it as like if a child's taking medicine, it just makes the medicine a little sweeter, but it also has antibacterial properties to it. So I like this too. So, Chem Metroplex, and I'm not sure, I don't remember how much it costs. I've had this vial, so this expires in about 9 months, and I probably won't use it, but I'll go a little farther. When it's a powder, I don't really go by the expiration date, but that tells me I've had it for about 1.5 years these, and you can still see this one's almost half full, and this one's full. So I don't use it a lot, but when I have quarantine fish, this is what I use. So I use Chem Metroplex and Chem Focus, and that's out of this bag. Now, like I said, this is the magic bag, so if you want me to make a video on that, I can. Just leave it in the comments. And then I'm just going to go through the other ingredients I have. So, Spirulina. So Spirulina is an anti-inflammatory, which is great because usually when Discus are sick or any of us are sick, we have inflammation. But it also has vitamins. I have a brine shrimp video where I put it with my brine shrimp, and that's in, but it's in the back of a video, and it was when I first started, so my videos weren't great. Not that they're great now, but they're getting better. So Spirulina, and I just get this at the health food store, and I think I pay $2, and I buy like 3 or 4 of these, and they last me years. But it's something to always kind of supplement food with. So Spirulina powder. And this was from Good Earth Natural Foods. So any natural food store usually have it because it's for elderly too. It's for anti-inflammatory because we want to use ibuprofen so much, and that's not good for the stomach. So this is a great product, but strictly for fish now. Okay. So Spirulina. So we got the Metro and we got the Focus. We got the Spirulina. Okay. And then I use vitamin C too. So vitamin C is a great product. I use it myself every day, and it's basically helps the immune system. Vitamin C. So what I do is I buy the vitamin C at the health food store, and then I just put it in a coffee grinder, so it's a fine powder. Okay, so that's important because you're trying to keep that immune system up and strong. And I just found when they're eating this, they get healthier real quick. So it still takes the 7 days, but they come out strong. So that. And then this is a little spoon that I use for measuring, and this is how I measure. And it actually comes inside the Chem. So it goes in the lid. Now I don't keep it in the lid. I have these spoons all over all over my room. I've been keeping them for years. So it just goes like this. But I don't keep it in here because it's hard to close up, so I just keep them separate. So we have medicine, and this, and this, and this. And then, so another thing that I add, so this is an attractant. Now there are some people that say that it does cure disease. I'm sure long term, and the amount you would have to use would be insane. But another thing I use is fresh garlic. I keep it in here because my studio is going to smell. But just fresh garlic, and that's a clove, and then I get a garlic press. Okay, in there. So that's kind of why these containers are huge. So these containers, that's why I keep them, because if I leave this much out, I haven't ruined the whole pack. So I can just throw that away, and it doesn't happen because I'm very vigilant when I pull those out. So I usually keep them out for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, and then they go back. Okay. So it's starting to smash up now, and that's kind of what you want. You want that smash. Now this is like 90% water. Okay. So I used to strain it and try to get out all the moisture, but what I find now is by adding all this dry stuff, the dry portions of it, it tends to thicken it. Now it's still a little soupy, but as it dries, as it freezes, it hardens into a nice cube. It goes in the tank, and because of that garlic, they strike it pretty fast. So, okay, so that's the mysis and the brine shrimp. So it's kind of pasty, but it's starting to get into that moisture mode. So you want to work fast because you don't want it to thaw totally. So then what I do is I start adding the ingredients. So I do just 1 scoop of the spirulina because this stuff is potent, and it already, just one turns it into a green paste. So you don't need a lot of that. Okay. So one of the spirulina, and then 1 of the vitamin C. A good scoop of vitamin C for the immune system. Okay. By adding the dries, you're getting that moisture and kind of absorbing. Okay, so there you have it. That's the way that I make the discus food, the medicated discus food. So here is the freezer that it's in. I'll just kind of show you. So I have my rack, I have my frozen food back there, and I have my frozen food here, and then here is the Metro. And I have Cyclops and Daphnia, the mysis, the regular shrimp, grub pie, and bloodworms. And then these guys right here just got out of quarantine. So they've been out for a couple days. They're looking good. They're eating. He's starting to color up a little better. He's still a little white. Sometimes at night he gets more red. So I know he's going to be a little bit more solid. But I think he's still a little stressed out from the meds. So they are out officially and looking good and eating well, and no more issues. Came down and I can see the wild right there. So that's the male. He's looking really good. So he went through his quarantine, and the female has still got a little problem. I'm still working on her, so she's gonna get better. She's looking better. And then these are the baby angels, and these are the parents. Better shot. There we go. Those are the parents. Lots of babies, and they're hungry. It's feeding time. These guys actually still have a couple fry left. So I'm gonna find one. They were on the sides this morning, so that's a great sign. So I have a feeling these guys were artificially raised, and that's why they are not taking care of their fry. But let's see if I can find one. Come on, where are you? It just was down and I seen them. So the fry tend to hide on the opposite side, away from the light. So let's see if I can get a shot of a fry. There's only like 3 or 4, so it's not a big spawn. Oh, there's one right there on the cone. So let's get him. Nope. So they're kind of going from the cone to the parents and back to the cone, but they are starting to feed off the parents a little bit. So this is great. So I want those parents to get that parental instinct. So even if the fry don't make it, this is a huge step. Yeah, I can't find them. When you have a few hundred, they're easier to see, but 1 or 2 of these at that size are hard. So she's hiding. But anyways, beautiful fish. So they're gonna get another shot. But they still have fry in there. Oh, there's one that just went off the top. Of course I can't get him now. Seen him clear as day earlier. They like to pick at your fingers. I don't know if they're actually getting any skin cells off. They might be. They pick at them a lot, so These guys are looking good, growing out, future breeders. There's a fry swimming. So anyways, I'm not very hopeful on, oh, there's a fry. Right there, still swimming. So that means they're still alive for a few days. So that means they're eating something in there, whether it's infusoria. And that's why I kind of haven't cleaned the tank. I just want that kind of build up, that mulm, and that creates all kinds of little microorganisms that if they are not eating off the parents, hopefully they can get enough supplement off that. But I did see him grazing on the male earlier, so, and that's the third time I've seen that. So hopefully we'll do well. All right, what's your name?
Ryan.
And where do you live? Okay, how old are you?
4.
4. Do you go to school yet?
Yes.
Yes. Do you get picked up by the bus every single day?
Yeah.
Do you love YouTube?
Yeah.
Is it your favorite?
Yeah.
Do you spend all day on it?
Yeah.
Does mom try to take it away from you?
Yeah.
And what do you say?
Give it back.
All right, buddy. Good job. You're going to be famous.